Welcome back to Squawk Box this morning. Microsoft co-founder Bill Gates out with a new book this week. It's titled How to Avoid a Climate Disaster. And in the book, he warns that the economic damage caused by climate change will likely be as bad as having a COVID-sized pandemic, he says, every decade. I spoke with Bill Gates yesterday afternoon and started out by asking him about what he thinks of the role of business should be in trying to solve this.
Businesses are paid to think ahead, and consumers will be looking at the carbon footprint of the companies they buy from. They will be looking for business to be part of the dialogue about shifting these systems around. And so climate is big. The younger generation, I think their energy is already very high, but I see that going up even in a bipartisan way. And so measuring the footprint, being open about that, and being willing to devote resources to getting those numbers down over time, I think no matter what business you're in, that will deserve a lot of attention.
But can the problem be solved if big businesses and Microsoft and Apple and Google and others have announced very ambitious plans, but they're all idiosyncratic? I mean, they're doing it on their own. Can it work if everybody's doing it on their own? Or does it effectively require regulation and laws?
Over time, you'll have regulations that will drive the market for green products. But even before it gets to the stage of having those regulations, having enlightened companies create markets for some of the earlier stage green products like green steel or green cement, that will be super important. Having the tech companies figure out how to run their data centers 24 hours a day without ever using any coal-based generation, that will drive the market for storage products. And so we've got to have the innovation. That's the first thing. That's more R&D money, more venture capital, more smart people doing those innovations. But even once you do the innovation, you need the market to start buying, just like Japan and Germany bought solar panels early on, paid a very high price. That created the learning curve that was catalytic. It got that extra cost, what I call the green premium, to come down. And we need the tech companies, the finance companies to be early customers of green products. And then when the premium comes down, the government will come in and drive an even broader adoption.
So many of the big companies that have announced these ambitious plans are very profitable, cash-rich companies. And obviously, as you go down the chain, there are going to be smaller businesses that frankly just can't afford to do this. So who should pay for it?
Well, some of the early low-volume stuff, the highly profitable companies, just because of their desire to be a positive force in society, they should set aside hundreds of millions to help in these areas. It all comes back to this green premium. If it's very, very high, then you've got a trade-off. And so that's why, I really come back to innovation to drive those numbers down. In the case of the passenger car, we clearly have an expectation that in the next 15 years, the green premium will be zero because the battery costs will go down, the range will go up, the charge points will be pervasive, and it'll be quick charging. And so that's why GM can say, okay, in 2035, we're not going to make any gasoline cars. And politicians can say, we'll ban those because this sacrifice, because this category has gotten the volume up and lots of innovation, it will get to zero.
There's been a critique of companies like Microsoft that have been outspoken on issues about climate, yet at the same time have made aggressive targets around what they're doing. Yet at the same time, in certain cases, they've supported politicians on the other side. And I asked Bill Gates about that.
There's enough issues that if you have a strong enough filter that you won't support back anybody who does this or that, then you're probably not going to give any political donations at all. Waiting for the candidate who conforms to all the views you have, say on immigration or R&D or climate, so companies have to make that assessment. The work to help drive forward innovation, it's really by being a customer. It's by sharing what's worked in the tech industry, which is a lot easier to innovate there than it is in the physical economy. The government wants to make progress in this. Biden has it as a very high priority. And the worst thing would be if people care about this issue, we have this goal, but 10 years from now, people can see that we're not really going to get the number down by much at all.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.